Good evening and welcome to the October 2nd, 2024 meeting of the Comprehensive Plan Committee. I would note that we do have a quorum here tonight. First order of business would be to approve the minutes of the September 4, 2024 meeting. Do I have a motion to any changes or additions, deletions? If there aren't any, I'll accept a motion. It's moved
Second.
and seconded. All in favor of accepting? Unanimous, thank you. Okay, number 3, under old business, we're going to review the draft plan and make any final edits to the draft plan. And hopefully everybody get a chance to review those. I'd turn it over to Kate and Sam to walk us through it.
All right, so hopefully everyone had a chance to look through the drafts we sent. I guess we should sort of start by just talking about what the process is and what we need to accomplish tonight. So the goal tonight is to review. We did get some comments online. They're all anonymous, so I'm not sure who wrote them, but we can look at those. I will share my screen in a minute. And any other comments you all have, any changes, anything you want to see before this goes to the public is what we need to get through tonight. And then hopefully everyone will be happy that we're in a place tonight that we can move forward with starting the public comment period. I think we'll probably, North Star and Sue will probably have some conversation after this meeting about exactly when the public comment period is going to be, just in terms of noticing and stuff like that. But it has to be at least 30 days. We'll make the plan available online. Hopefully the town can also have a printed copy available at the town office. And during that period, we need to hold a public hearing. So we could potentially do that at the November committee meeting or even December, depending on what we want to do. So that's the kind of...
Is that a committee public hearing or is that the town public hearing?
So this is just a public hearing for the public comment period. This is not the public hearing to get the plan on the warrant. That will all happen later. So basically, to submit it to the state, we need to let them know that we're having a public comment period, which includes a public hearing. And there will also be a form that the chairs of this committee need to sign, as well as the chair of the select board needs to sign to authorize us to share the draft with the state. Once we get it back from the state in a couple months, we will probably review it again as a committee, see what state edits we want to make on, like we want to take or do any other edits, and then basically North Star will release the plan to you all to take to the select board to get the process onto the warrant. Does that make sense? There's like a lot of moving pieces here and there is some flexibility about how we do it. So technically you can do the public comment period and submit to the state at the same time. But because of Raymond's town meeting schedule, I don't think we need to rush, since it doesn't need to be sent to the warrant until, is it March, Sue? Yeah, so we have until March of next year to get something back from the state and ready to submit for the warrant. So we don't need to do it simultaneously unless there's a strong desire to do so.
And Kate, just to be clear, so tonight what we're working to do is for this committee to make any final edits to the draft plan. Mm-hmm. And but that's not the end all. I would assume that during the public comment, if we were, let's say, to hear a large amount of the public commenting on a certain part of the plan where they believe it doesn't reflect really what the community wants, then we could make edits then.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this is not the last time we'll be making edits. There will also be, after we get all the public comment, we'll decide what we want to edit, and then we'll get feedback from the state, and we could potentially edit more things there if anything is changed or
couple different swipes at it.
Yeah, so basically if this is like one of 3. So
So the public hearing happens at the end of that 30-day public comment.
anytime during the public comment period.
Okay. I'm just thinking if we have a meeting next month at the beginning of November, there's also the election. At that point, people probably won't be focused on, I don't know, maybe they won't come out for a public hearing if it's in conjunction or close to the election, maybe a December.
Because our
Timeline.
meeting would be the day after Election Day, I believe, right?
Yeah.
So Tuesday is voting, and then we would have the day after, so, yeah, I kind of agree, maybe December. It's probably the better.
Joe?
One thing I think might help the committee understand a bit with the process is we're talking in a way about 2 things going on at the same time. One are hearings where the public hears the book. The other is a statutory public hearing. So one of the times when we talk to people about the plan, if I'm getting this right, has to be a plans public hearing, which requires 10 days public notice, and in at least 2 different newspapers, et cetera. There are statutory rules around that particular one. So that's what she's referring to as a public hearing. I don't know if that helps, but.
So it's
Yeah,
not a
so-
physical meeting where they have an opportunity to come and speak?
Well, they still do.
Okay.
Yeah, but you might have several meetings where you talk to the public, but there has to be one that we have to schedule out and do all this notice in papers and things, so.
Right, so I think what I had asked Kate was whether just to differentiate between the public hearing while or just after we do basically get the feedback from the citizens, but then there's a formal public hearing that usually takes place for almost any major issue in town or whatever.
And there will be 2 public hearings. There's the one that's necessary now. There'll also be one that's necessary for any ordinance-type documents that are going on the warrant.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think potentially if you didn't want to hold it in November, I think we could do the public hearing, since your meetings are that first week of the month, we could do the public hearing then. I think our goal is to submit this in December by kind of early December, because in theory the state has 90 days to return it. In practice, it is often more than 90 days. So we just want to make sure we're getting it well in advance of when we need it approved in March. So the other option too is is that we could submit it to the state before the public hearing and before all the public comment has been incorporated. So
Is there advantage to doing that?
I guess for us it means we only have to do the edits once. But in terms of the town, I think the only caution would be is if you're worried that there might be a lot of changes coming, like especially to goals and recommendations coming out of the public comment period.
You would have to go back to the state a second time.
Only if there's substantive changes. So if it's like minor things, tweaks, they'll take a look at what we did and just say, okay, that's fine. But, if we had a lot of people coming out and say, I don't think this goal is right at all, then there would be a little bit more, they'd have to look a little harder at it.
I believe that the history of the 2004 plan was that it was submitted to the state, and the state found that we did not adequately address affordable housing. And I believe the process was the state sent it back to the committee to rework it, and then they inserted verbiage that they resubmitted to the state, and then they accepted it. So that was the
Yeah.
history in 2004.
The other thing too is if this is why we need to coordinate with Sue, but if the day after election day doesn't sound like a good day for a meeting, we could look at just finding a different date. Although with Thanksgiving in November, that is a short window.
Why wouldn't December 4 be a good?
That would be fine. I think that would be
Give us a
fine.
little room, and that would be the public hearing.
Yep.
And in all fairness, we did have the state reviewer give us a little seminar. I could think it was maybe the second or third meeting we had before North Star was online. He was being realistic. He said, yeah, I recall he said it could take up to 90 days. So that's what they have
That's
for a
their-
time frame. He was saying that it really depends on what's on his desk.
It does.
It's him and an assistant, and I guess that's it. It's not a planning office like we used to have.
Yes, it's just two people. His assistant actually lives in Raymond.
Oh.
So I don't know if that gives us.
So anyway, but he was saying it really depends on what's on his desk
Yeah.
at the time. He was talking more like used like 60 days, so a couple of months would
Yeah.
be what you would expect normally.
Yeah, we've had varying experiences. Yeah, so I think December 4th, we can move ahead with that. And then maybe we have the public hearing at the start of the meeting. And then that would give the committee time to discuss what edits we think we need to make.
And then we discuss edits, we approve edits, or you'll make the edits, and then
Mhm.
you'll ship it right off to the state, basically?
Yep.
Can we have a longer than a 30-day
You can
comment
have
period?
as long of a comment period as you want. Yep.
Okay, so we could have it from the time that edits are made after tonight's meeting
Yeah, until December 4th,
Okay.
say, when the public hearing is.
That gives plenty of time,
Like that.
I think, for people to give us their input. And I think it would also give us a sense if there were some major issues. Yeah.
So I think we have an agenda item later to talk a little bit more about outreach during that period.
Correct.
So, but okay, just to tentatively kind of see where we're at, I think that makes sense if everyone feels comfortable with it. All right, so looking at the edits we got, it looks like we have some edits to, I know this is going to be hard for you all to see because I don't think I can zoom in on the goals. So someone has suggested here that instead of saying to collect data on speeding, we should say collect data on excessive speed and traffic volume as well as traffic calming devices on
Okay,
Raymond's
so
roadways.
I'm Peter Anonymous, and so what I'd say is that what I was just trying to get at this is that especially where it's listed right at the beginning under priority goals and actions, that we try and emphasize a little bit more what we're trying to do with these radar
Sure.
speed displays. So a little bit more descriptive would be to say which collect data on vehicular speed and traffic volumes, as well as to act as a traffic calming device.
Okay, that's fine with me if it works for everyone else.
No objections?
All right. Okay, and then that's just a small edit, citizen opinion polling. I can change that.
Yeah, I guess I just was a little uncomfortable with the word vote. I mean, it was more of an opinion poll, so not to split hairs.
Yeah, so some of these are just kind of minor wording edits, I think, from Peter Anonymous, which,
Well, actually, I saw a couple of others.
oh, they're not all
Yeah,
here.
they're not all anonymous.
I'll own up to guest 6
Okay.
on there.
I would say on page 1.5, population. I'm being a little bit of a stickler on this one, but I'm still having trouble seeing the justification in the data to say to be saying that there's an increase in young families in the town. So if we just were to insert the aging population and potential for increasing numbers of young families, because unless you can tell me, I'd love to be able to say. Yeah, we have data that supports that there are young families moving to Raymond. I just don't see it in any of the chapters on population or whatever. There's a suggestion, and the suggestion was in that age group between 27 and 35 that there was an increase in that population, and that's great. But is it? Do they have children? Do they plan on having children? We don't know that. So, if there's no objection, I'd just insert potential in front of for increasing numbers of young families.
No problem with that.
Okay, no objections to that. Then I had, I don't know if there's an edit under economy.
Yep, hide worry that's
So
value.
that says that summer camp owners and farm and woodlot owners worry that the high value of their property may make it difficult to keep the property. I just like to include after high just to hammer it home. It's the high development value of the camps that is probably what's going to look enticing to developers
Yep.
along the lakefront. So I just insert that development, high development. If there's no objections. Under transportation, I think it's page 16. Just to insert the fact, because I think it was mentioned by several people on the committee, that there is currently no park and ride option in Raymond. So we make the statement that, the majority of people in Raymond, when they commute, they travel alone. So I thought it would be the perfect place to insert, and I don't know if you want to say there is currently no park or ride option in Raymond, or just say there is no, however somebody wants to wordsmith, that's fine with me. But just to make that point.
It's fine with me.
No objections?
All right.
Under water, natural and water resources, I think it was page 18.
Yeah, hold on, Peter. Before we move
Oh,
there,
did
I
I
see
skip
some
over?
other comments. So this is where someone suggested where we say creating more housing options from duplexes and triplexes to condos and apartments, that we should add in a thoughtful and sustainable way.
I was just trying to provide context to
Yep,
what the goal
that's
is
fine.
there. Yeah.
I agree with that.
Let's see. That's just a small wording thing. That's fine.
I didn't make a comment
Yeah,
here,
sure.
but can I just insert, under this comment too that we just discussed on, just above the economy section, we make reference here and in the point about the population that we were just talking about, saying it'll make it easier for younger people and families to make a home in Raymond. I'm just, as a realtor, they really talk about fair housing and protected classes of people, and familial status is one of those protected classes. And I just wonder if we want to try and not necessarily talk about families or families with children, I know that we obviously want to make it a friendly place for all. I just want to make sure we're not targeting one type of a person, or families with children versus
Sure.
single people versus,
Yeah, we could change it to something more along the lines of make it easier for younger people just starting out, something like that. I think we're just trying to hit on
First-time home
for first-time
First-time
home buyers, or
homebuyers, yeah, we can say first-time
new home
home
buyers
new
or
home buyers.
something like that.
Yeah, that
Rather than even talking about age, because
Yeah.
first-time home buyers don't have to be young people. They can be older people who have rented for,
yep.
years and
So-
years and
So are we good with first time or new home buyers? What do you like?
I think we can say
maybe first time. I think first time is a
yeah, I think that's a good
Yeah.
one.
Appropriate.
Yeah, I want to also keep, some of the housing options we suggest there could potentially be rentals. So we could keep younger people in there. I know that's something that a lot of towns, most people graduating high school in Maine are not going to be able to move back to the town they grew up in. So
Yeah.
that sort of trying to capture that, as well as first-time home buyers and older adults.
Or maybe we could even say, make it easier for people of all ages and
Mm-hmm.
income.
and status or something,
Yeah, we can also just say
to make a home in Raymond.
Yeah. Can you think of something more general? Yeah.
Yeah, just more general.
So yeah, we can just say people of all ages and income levels or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. think next we have, under natural and water resources, that's just a typo kind of thing. We'll fix that.
I think under that, was it page 1.8, under natural and water resources, Raymond must explore additional sources of revenue and work strategically. Could we insert explore additional sources of revenue?
I don't have a problem with it.
I think
So
it's
this
just,
is, so to get everyone situated, this is where we say, as a small town where most town revenue is generated through property taxes, and then Peter's suggesting we change this to say Raymond must explore additional sources of revenue and work strategically, instead of just saying work strategically.
I think in the plan, what we're talking about is looking at grants, looking at impact fees in general, and looking for wherever we can, other than landing everything on real estate tax. I mean, we know that it's going to be real estate tax for the next 20 years, probably the life of this plan. That's going to provide the bulk of the revenue. But it would just seem that in the plan, what we're saying is to look for other sources.
Sure.
Other than taxes.
Absolutely,
Okay, good.
absolutely.
Okay. All right. Also, thanks to everyone who submitted pictures, especially Jackie.
Good job, Jackie.
You're all over
lot
this
of pictures.
plan.
I know. I'm like, oh, look at that.
Okay, vision statement. I don't see any comments here. Also, just interrupt me if you have something as we're going through it.
Kate, I did have some more on,
Oh, okay.
yeah, so maybe they didn't make it on there as far as edits. But as far as, I think we had discussed this before, as far as on page 110.
Yep, we're not there yet.
Oh, okay.
So vision statement, I don't have any comments there. Future land use plan, let's see. Yep, that's a typo. Okay, that's just a small wording edit. We can do that. So Peter, what did you have on 110?
Well, that was the typo.
Oh, okay. Sure.
116, critical rural areas.
Yep, let's go there. Okay.
So it would just be, I think we discussed it, was the fact that unless I'm mistaken, there's more than just Loon Echo. And so should we say something in other similar not-for-profit accredited conservation agencies?
Yeah, we could just say, or other conservation organizations too.
Good with everyone?
Yep.
Good. All right.
Great.
I've got one on strengthen sense and community, 122.
All right, let's see if we have anything in between. And again, please interrupt me, everyone else, if we have something. There's this one. So I think, yeah, that's the next comment, Peter.
Yeah, so under strengthen sense of community, where it says town support, provide, I guess I just insert the word increased in deference to the town manager, who mentioned just a few meetings ago that, it's not like we're not doing any of this stuff. That they have been doing stuff. And so it just seemed to me that we would use terminology that would reflect
Yep.
that.
That's a
So-
credit.
So that'd be increased town support. Then I have one under plan implementation, page 124.
There's another typo.
Yeah.
Got that.
And then on page 130, future land use workshop. This is one I wrestled with.
Sorry, Peter, before
Oops,
you go
okay.
there, it looks like there's some other edits about the
Should.
Comprehensive Plan Implementation Committee and changing these
Oh, yes,
shoulds
yes,
to
yep.
wills.
Yep. So in other words, just change all of those, should to will and may to must. The idea came to me here in reading this, I was struck by the member of the planning board who came up after our workshop meeting. and said that what was going to be really essential for this committee was to set up the implementation committee with as specific a direction as possible as where we're going. And so, correct me if I'm wrong, but that verbiage basically is just, to me, doesn't direct the implementation in as positive. In other words, they shouldn't have an option.
An option, it's
onto
shall.
that.
Yeah.
I mean, as a matter of fact, the state requires the first one, right?
Basically, you're required to say that you're going to do it in the comp plan. The state doesn't really have an enforcement technique for what actually happens.
Well, I'd ask the committee.
yes.
What would you think?
I think that stronger language is good. We've spent a lot of time and resources and a lot of North Star's time in making a plan that ought to have some traction.
All right, those seem fine. So let's see. This may with will. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so. Okay, so this is from Peter about the future land use workshop. Route 302 is already a designated growth area. How do we better describe the participant responses related to this? So,
So as we all
I see what you're
experienced at the
saying.
future land use workshop, that way it was happening at the same time as there was a warrant article suggesting there should be a zoning change on 302. And my sense was that the group that showed up were representative of the town, but there was a disproportionate number of individuals there that were very concerned about the zoning change on 302. And so my sense is that as far as how do we get across the fact that rather than to say reacted negatively to the 302 growth area, well, they can react negatively to it, but I don't believe we can change it. I mean, I guess we could change it, but it wouldn't make any sense to do that. It's been designated as a growth area in Raymond for 3 decades. And we've invested a water line in there. It's the major route to Portland and to the White Mountains. So I don't know how we could do that, but maybe we could do that. But I was just thinking the discussion we had here as a committee regarding, I think it was Jackie that brought it up first, that mentioning the fact that growth area doesn't necessarily mean development. It could mean investment. It could mean improvement. It could mean improving the quality of life for people that choose to use that as a residential area. So how do we get more of a positive spin on it?
we could say something like, and desired to manage growth in the 302 area, something like that. So we're not saying it's not a growth area, we're just saying that people want sort of more investment or more management in how the area is growing.
Maybe we could say something like, they reacted negatively to Route 302 growth area in regards to adding new development in the area. I think that's what they don't want to see, is that it's gonna keep,
Adding new development and
Bringing in
traffic, I
more-
think, is probably part of the
yeah.
message, right?
Well, and I think the disconnect was the idea that new development did not equal new investment, and every person that didn't want the new development also wanted additional investment to ensure that the water quality remained or didn't deteriorate more and improved if possible. And so that would require us designating it as a growth area in order to invest. So
What if we said and desired managed growth and additional investment in the Route 302 area?
rather than more development, or I don't know.
Yeah, I think to me, it's a little more clear if we just say that people wanted growth management and investment, rather than saying, I think this is a little oversimplified, and I say that because I'm probably the person who wrote it.
There was a strong response, certainly, and a strong turnout. And
Yeah, I think,
It's not wrong to
It's-
say that.
It's not
that
wrong to
was
say
the
it
fact.
negatively, yeah.
yeah, I think it,
But I think we could frame it slightly different.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with any of the comments here as far as, it was very clear to me at that workshop that there was a significant segment that just did not want to see any more development near the residential part of 302, which is our, one of the designated growth areas. I don't want to necessarily dilute that sense
Right.
or ignore that opinion. I just think that it's got to be taken into consideration with the reality of the situation, which it is a growth area in Raymond, and there is going to be investment, there is going to be improvements, and my guess would be, unless I'm really off base, there's going to be some development. I don't know how there won't be. Hopefully it's sustainable and it's reasonable investment, development. And I think that the planning board and the town can certainly speak to that issue. That I don't know that we have to, draw a map for that. But how do we say it in such a way that it doesn't appear that there's, that what this plan is saying is that the town does not want to acknowledge that area as a growth area, because it is.
yeah. I like the idea of saying managed growth, because we're acknowledging that, I think that acknowledges both that it's a growth area and that there are people who do want more limits or regulations on how the area is growing. But then we can also add something about the desire for investment in the second half of that.
No, that sounds great. And I don't think I thought at first maybe there might be a way to word it that, any development will be subject to the input of the people in the town and the residents. But you know what? Then I rethought it and I said, well, there was. Because that warrant article did not pass.
All right, let's see. Okay, so I think now we're getting into the goals and policies. So sort of for the committee's knowledge too, so we put these all into tables in the plan. This is something that when we get to a final deliverable, we can also give to you in an Excel spreadsheet, which if any of you are planning to volunteer to be on the implementation committee, that might be something. So just throwing it out there, this is sort of the version for public, but there will probably, we'd usually give you a spreadsheet so you can work with it on the implementation side. So, okay, yes, there's a duplicate there. Thank you. This is the same clarification Peter made when we talked about this strategy about the portable radar speed displays earlier. So we'll just make sure that those changes are consistent on that first page and in this table. Yes, so Economic Development Task Force no longer exists. I do believe we have a goal to reestablish it, but perhaps we should change the responsible party for this.
We could say retask economic development.
Yeah, I think we could. So in the absence of the Economic Development Task Force, who would an economic development related proposal go to in the town?
So the planner would probably
Oh,
be the person.
I would say planning board or selectmen, but they had a hard time with the solar, who was responsible for that, so. One of those two.
Economic Development Task Force.
Well, this
I think
is,
we
I
need,
feel-
Or a
Well, yes, and I think we're
consultant.
suggesting that we should have one. It's just that it says that that's who's going to be responsible, and they don't exist yet.
yeah.
Not since, I think, 2014.
I think, yeah, we could say planning board because this is a reference to plans, to making plans. So I think right now, if someone was going to include Raymond in an economic development plan, probably the planning board would.
That's where I put my money right now.
Okay, we'll add that. Can you write that?
But it does point out the gap, because the planning board's really, Sean, you'd be much better versed in the mission there, but does it meet the ordinance? You know, does the proposal meet the ordinance? It's not, planning board's not so much visionary.
They're implementary.
Implementing the ordinance and
So,
seeing
you know,
if applicants
I see a lot.
comply with it.
I see a lot of these, and just as my 2 cents worth is I don't know where in the plan we actually recommend committees, but it seems to me there's a bunch of committees that need to be formed. Everything from a committee to look at what Jordan Small is going to be repurposed for, to a committee to look at affordable housing in the town, to a committee to look at economic stimulus in the town,
Right.
and setting up some sort of connection with the Sebago Region Chamber of Commerce and that sort of stuff. A traffic committee because the traffic study group no longer exists. They ended in 2012, I believe. So I guess my question with a lot of these is that there's going to be ad hoc committees. They're either going to be committees set up by standing committees and boards. They're going to be subcommittees, or they're going to be ad hoc committees established by the town to study some of these issues. And my guess would be that that's going to be the role of the implementation committee, to see that there are those resources and those committees available. But I just guess, where should we be putting the recommendation like we did for the economic committee?
So this plan calls for the establishment of a comprehensive plan implementation committee. And then we have a local goal, which I was trying to find really quickly.
I
But
saw that, yeah.
there is a local goal in here somewhere to reestablish the Economic Development Task Force. Yes, there it is. Bring back the Economic Development Task Force.
Yeah.
So those are the two committees that we're specifically calling for, the Implementation Committee and Economic Development. For Jordan Small Middle School, we do not say form a committee, we just say have a public process. I think it's kind of a bigger to be determined what form that will take. I just don't think we know right now. And then we don't specifically call for any other committees, but I would guess that, it might be something where the implementation committee might have a working group or something like that if they need to do some focused. Sometimes implementation committees do that, right, where they have a couple people go and do some research on one topic. And then it might have to sort of be, as these things come up, the implementation committee could make a recommendation to the select board, we need another committee. But we're not recommending more than just the implementation committee and economic development specifically.
I think anything we have a question about falls upon the select board, because ultimately it is their decision in the end. So whether a committee is formed is their decision in the end. If a committee decides we should do something, it is still the select board's decision in the end. So if we're not sure, I think it should fall to the select board, because ultimately they're the ones that are going to appoint the board or committee or whatever it is.
Well, yeah, but Kelly, you're talking about a town appointed committee. I'm talking about a subcommittee of a standing committee. I don't believe that I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe we could call for a subcommittee of this committee to study traffic if we so desired. I don't think we would need the approval of the select board to do that. Am I incorrect there?
You're not incorrect, but depending on what you wanted the subcommittee to study, it may or may not be part of your charge.
Well, so I use the example of traffic.
Yeah.
I think anybody with any amount of neurons and functioning neurons would read this plan and say the traffic is an issue in the town. Therefore, my question is simply, if this committee wanted to form a subcommittee to study traffic safety.
To study that specifically?
Yeah.
I don't know if it would be called into question or not. to be truthful with you. I
Well,
can't
I'm
imagine
not
it.
suggesting that
Yeah.
we try it and see.
Yeah.
What I'm basically just saying is I believe that in
But you certainly
the
have
distinction between
subcommittees.
Kayla's question was, there are committees that can establish subcommittees. And then there are town committees that are approved by the select board. I believe I'm on pretty solid ground there, but we could research it.
Yes, but most committees are given a charge of some sort, is all I'm getting
Correct.
at. So if you wanted to decide to study whether or not we should plow the roads differently or put something different on the roads, that would be outside your charge potentially.
Unless it involved road safety.
Yes.
Thank you.
In this case, I think for this particular goal, I think select board makes sense because reading it again, this is talking about local and regional economic development plans. And I assume if anyone was going to include Raymond in a regional economic development plan, that would probably go through the select board.
And I guess my effort wasn't really to get into that, as the weeds there, as much as it was to say, once again, I was impressed with the conversation after the workshop by the member of the planning board. And it was basically the fact that please do as much as you can in the plan to give this implementation committee the tools necessary for them to do an efficient and effective job. And that was my goal as far as committees are concerned. I'm not trying to tell the implementation committee what to do. I couldn't anyway because they don't exist. So, but what I was impressed with was the comment from that individual at the workshop.
I don't want to drag this out, but I think I keep hearing us try to do things on committees, which is certainly good in the Raymond way. But case in point, North Star Planning, I mean, if we attempted to do this comp plan without professional help, we'd be in a very different place. And having excellent or even good professional planning support, economic development planners, I think we should incorporate that somehow in our charge to how the implementation committee ought to go at it. They don't just have to make an ad hoc committee to solve complex traffic problems in Raymond. I mean, you need pros on that stuff to do it right. We're in a new age, the age of doing it the Raymond way, all ourselves, is in the rearview mirror, I think. There's certainly stuff that we can do, and this committee's done an excellent job, but couldn't have done it without professionals.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that, John. I think that we are at that stage of the game where consultants and people with specific expertise need to be involved in helping guide us in developing this. So I guess that's just my sense. The edit was that the Economic Advisory Committee or whatever they were are defunct. So that was my point.
Okay, so we've got a few more edits to responsibility here. This one, and these are all now in the state goals and strategies. So these are all goals that are required to be included in here. They are written by the state of Maine. They are not written by us. So that's why a lot of these, if you read through them, seem like they don't always fit Raymond because they're intended for every single town in the state. Anyway, so this one is about public investments and mechanisms to finance them, and the suggestion is that we add select board and town manager to the responsible parties. I think that makes sense. Let's see. So this is, so again, these are state housing goals we're looking at. Someone is suggesting that this goal that says maintain, enact, or amend growth area land use regulations to increase density, decrease lot size, setbacks, and road widths, or provide incentives such as density bonuses to encourage the development of affordable workforce housing be medium term instead of long term. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, that's my edit. I just figured, once again, kind of give a little better guidance and time frames for whoever's going to try and implement this. 5 to 10 years is a long time. 10 years is way too long.
I think it makes sense to shorten it as well,
Yeah.
especially when the state has a goal of creating
Yeah.
so many
Yeah, and I think
homes.
I think the goals specific, we have some more Raymond specific zoning and lot size and those kinds of goals, and those I think we gave a shorter time frame. I can double check on that though.
I had a comment on 2A that didn't make it onto this. Did the state write the actual context, or was of that specific goal? I was looking in particular at density bonuses, and the conversation that we had at the last meeting was to explore these types of incentives and not, I just don't want to come across as recommending them if that's not something that we're required to do by the state.
This is the state's
This is the state,
language,
okay,
so-
all right.
And we do actually have in our ordinances density bonuses for cluster developments and the like. So those have already been implemented as far as, but not everywhere.
Right, I think I'm thinking specifically of the conversation around Gorham and what they do, and not knowing if it's something that's right for the town, and maybe it is and maybe it's not, but we'll have a conversation rather than a recommendation.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think I'm looking back at the local policies, and so we had exploring additional programs or ordinances like we talked about in Gorham. We gave that a long-term goal. I guess the idea of exploring additional programs
that's
seems like
fine.
something that
Yeah.
might happen a little bit at a time, but then we have some other goals. Strengthening open space subdivision and clustered subdivision standards is medium term. And we have some other land use goals in here. I'd have to scroll through. I think we have some about the village character. I think those are all, most of these are flagged as medium term, which is 2 to 4 years. That might seem like a long time, but when you're talking about ordinances in a town meeting town, it's probably going to take, a year or two to get that process through. Okay, then we have, so this is another state goal. It says seek to achieve a level of at least 10% of new residential development built in the next decade be affordable as defined in Maine Title 30A. So this suggestion is to change this from medium term to short term.
And I guess that's my edit, and what I'd just say is that my understanding is that was one of the priority goals of the 2004 plan. They made it clear to the implementation committee. The implementation committee came out in 2010 with its final findings, and we weren't any closer to it than we were in 2004. It was a state requirement in 2004. Obviously, the town didn't go to jail because we didn't achieve it, because I don't know many communities in the state that actually were able to achieve that. However, it remains a requirement of the state. So I guess I just shortened the time frame to say, well, let's just find out. Are we going to have a task force to look at affordable housing in the town? And maybe that'll be a subcommittee of the implementation committee that will look at that, and we'll have some solid data as to whether we can achieve that or not.
Any committee members' thoughts on making that? It's a little bit of the way the goal is written by the state is a little seek to achieve, like I'm not
seek
totally.
to achieve. I mean,
Yeah,
we can
it's-
seek to achieve in 1 to 2 years.
Yeah.
I just think
I don't have a problem
anything,
with it because we're
Okay.
seeking.
anything that was on the implementation committee's charge, of which less than half of it was, and less than half of their priorities were ever achieved in the town. It just seems to me that we want to give the implementation committee as many tools as possible, but hopefully someone's going to hold their feet to the fire, and we'll find out. Can we get these things done, or can't we?
I think, if you're fine with that, I think you can seek to achieve.
Achieve.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's not my wording.
It's their language.
Yeah. Okay, this is a suggestion to include Budget Finance Committee. I think that's fine for now. All right, and we're back to, so another, this is suggested to be short-term, is the goal, explore the possibilities of registering short-term, sorry, this is written twice, but explore the possibilities of registering and regulating short-term rentals.
Yeah, per the discussions that we've had before, and plus the discussion I had with several people at the workshop. And I don't
I
know,
think
did anybody receive anything in the mail?
I did.
Yes,
Oh,
that
oh.
caused quite a little chatter on
So,
my.
so all I'll
little
tell you
mom
is that
feed.
it was shared to me at the end of the workshop. And by the way, there'll be something coming in the mail. So if you didn't get a chance to see it, or maybe it went out because it was just one of those cards, informational cards, and there is a survey online, not a town line, about the question of
Short-term rentals.
short-term rentals. So it just seemed to me that there is some segment of the community that's actually organizing. And therefore, it behooves us to state it in the plan that it's something that we would want to see and probably explore it sooner than later. I don't know, maybe a subcommittee that would look at it.
I think that's fair. I think I also might have accidentally put a couple of these goals in two places, so I will make sure the timeline is right and that they're in the right
Okay.
place. Okay, so this is right. That's a great edit where it says provide the code enforcement officer with tools, training, and support. We should include the code enforcement officer. And then, yeah, so that's all I have here. And I didn't get any comments on the inventory chapters.
Those were just interesting and fun to read.
Yeah, so you did all review those
We've already done that.
way back in the beginning.
Well, North Star was perfect, and we did a good job of editing ahead of time.
You
So
all
I
did
read
a
them.
great job of
I just
editing
enjoyed it
and-
as
Yeah,
well. I thought it was a
it was
great
great.
job.
Yeah. So do we have any other comments on these?
I guess I just have a question.
Yeah.
Where did the CIP document come from?
Town manager.
Oh. So, Sue, could I ask you a question?
You can.
Okay.
You want an answer, I best go back to the podium.
Nah, well, that's fine. And we know who you are.
Yes.
So, in that CIP document, I think for 2027, because I think it's out over 5 years, there's like $181,000 for improvements to the gym at Jordan Small.
That's what Rec put in, I believe.
So that was my question. Who actually put that in the CIP?
Some sets of those are from Public Works, some are from Public Safety, some are from Rec. I'm not sure if Public Safety actually made it in before tonight.
We're gonna double, yeah,
Yeah,
we didn't
'cause I
make
sent
any
it to you-
edits, so.
I sent
we'll-
it to you late,
We'll make
so.
sure it's in.
So Public Safety wasn't there.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so that was basically put in by the rec department? Okay,
Just as an estimate, because he uses a gym now and has some ideas of what he'll need to start off with renovations.
great.
Or fixing things that are there.
That was just my question. Thank you.
I don't want page 3 in there because it'll be outdated by the time the plan comes out.
Let me see, what's page
It
three?
just goes to fiscal year 2024 to 25.
Okay,
I don't really see the point in that one.
yep, that's fine.
Okay.
Oh, I see there's a comment in there. Thank you. I did not see that before. Yep, okay. So, any other comments, thoughts, concerns?
The only comment I would make is this, and that's that, and I heard it mentioned earlier, I think the pictures are fabulous. It's really terrific, very, very
Yeah.
nice.
Good graphics,
I'd
excellent.
I'd
graphics.
move there.
Yeah, you all, this town, like, I have so many sunset pictures of Raymond. Like, I was like, man, I'm missing out by not seeing the sunset in Raymond, apparently, because
Well, we do own, I think, the highest elevation in the county.
there you
Oh.
go.
Yeah, with the views over, yeah, with the the on the edge of the mountains and
Yeah.
the lakes and just even sometimes the clouds around here. I don't know what it is. The sunsets really are something to look at.
Sam, thank you for the pictures you provided as well. That was nice. I liked the ducks.
Yeah. Good. Well, so I will stop sharing my screen. So how do you all want to move forward? I think in terms of the exact days for the public comment period, I think Sue would appreciate it if we can determine that offline after this meeting. But I don't know if the committee wants to, if you want to vote or if you just want to tell us to make these edits and go to public comment.
Yeah, I don't know that it requires a vote. What do people think in general?
I'm ready.
Start it now, that's
No,
Sorry.
probably meaning like,
in the next couple days or week.
yeah, we need some time to make the edits
Make
and
the
then
edits
we'll
and put
coordinate
it
with
forward.
Sue on the
Absolutely.
noticing,
Yeah, let's
so.
get it out there.
Okay. Great.
Most of the month of November, our videographer is gone to play with volcanoes. So, and that's for like 3 weeks. So you might know, if you look at the town calendar in November, all 5 days of the first week of November have meetings, and then he goes away and doesn't come back until almost Thanksgiving. So November is going to be hard if any of these meetings want to be televised.
I was actually going to ask about that. If we're collecting public comment,
Mhm.
but we're not, and we're going to have a public hearing December,
Yes, we don't need to.
why do we
Do you
meet
need-
November?
Yeah,
What do we
you,
have to discuss?
yeah. And do you need any public meetings to be here and televised is really my question too.
I think we're gonna have the public hearing in December, so that's set, and I think I would say to the committee, I don't know if you need to meet in November.
I say we take the month off, collect public comment.
All those in
Are
favor?
we doing
Manual.
anything at the election?
So that was gonna be, I
No.
was
No.
gonna suggest that maybe instead of having a meeting in November, that might give committee members some time to help publicize this through other channels.
Yeah, we can focus our efforts for
I mean,
November.
We can
It-
display a poster
Spreading the
that
word.
says, check out your comp plan, now's the time to make comments.
Public comment is open
Yeah,
until December 4th.
we can do that
With a
at the
QR
election
code.
that doesn't even
Yeah.
have a person there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
It could be a,
And we can discuss, I don't know, we need to discuss it just now, but as far as the November election, that's been our format in the past of kind of getting the word out for a workshop or something like that. So we can discuss some strategy as far as the election is concerned, to inform the public that this comment period is out there, this is how to access it. and
It's
that's-
open now, it closes December 4th. And
Maybe we could have a flyer with a
So here's.
QR code, whatever on it.
Yeah.
You've got business cards right there involved.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think we've moved on to the next agenda item. So.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I know we're going to discuss it. I would make this suggestion just real quickly to move public comment up. So I don't know if there's anyone here that's here for public comment, but rather than have to sit through all of this, if they would like to make a comment now, without objection, we'll just move public comment to this point.
agreed.
Any public comment? Anybody on Zoom?
But I probably should introduce our code officer, Jason Williamson.
Oh,
Excellent.
terrific.
All right, Jason, good to have you.
So he's kind to the public.
All right. Well, good to meet you. With that being said, I'll close public comment and go to the discussion on the public comment period. I think we've already kind of gotten into it, but let's continue it.
So I think what our plans are would be we will be updating the website to have links to review this. We will send out an email to the email list we have. We can make you flyers and social media graphics to share. If you want something poster sized for election day, I can, make something bigger.
You can make a regular flyer, and if we want, we can have the town
Yep.
print it bigger.
Yep.
And we can affix that in our
Perfect.
usual fashion.
With a
But
QR
that's
code,
That's
yeah.
a choice we can make closer to election between Peter and I, or I think, yes, so we're not having an illegal meeting.
Yeah.
If you could just provide a few things for us
That sounds good.
to just have available for people on election day.
Another question I want to ask you before we make this public. So we have, like how you've all been commenting using the Adobe comment. You can just place comments in the plan. When we put this up for the public, we can just do it like that and have people comment in the document. I also usually have like a comment form online in case people have trouble with the Adobe interface. Or we can not allow people to comment directly in the plan. There are two ways of looking at it. Sometimes people worry about what if someone writes something potentially inflammatory in the comments. I've never had a big problem with this. But if
Then it's posted, it's live to whoever,
I have administrative ability to
clean
delete
things up if you need to.
Yes.
You'd have to catch it.
Yes,
You have to be
exactly.
monitored.
I'm not going to be checking it every day.
And
to be
it
honest.
does allow a back and forth.
It does. So
I don't want that.
No, I don't think we want that.
I don't think it's a good idea to have them be able to comment on the document itself, but I would like to do all other available options so that we're accessible to everybody who has varying technological skills. So I'd like to make it known they can email at
Yep.
so-and-so to let us know their comments.
Sure.
That they can comment using your comment form, as you suggested.
But I would agree, and it avoids other individuals going in and looking and seeing other comments, and then them feeling that they need to respond back with a different idea or a different comment. I
Yeah,
think
this
we
is
should.
not the Press Herald comment section.
There you go. There you go. This isn't a
Not a live
public
card.
opinion poll.
Okay, so we will not have live comments in the document. We'll have a comment form. We'll have an email. We'll have it sent to us, I think, just because we'll be compiling everything. And then I'll connect with Sue, but we'll have a printed copy in the town office. We'll have an email, and we can also, I don't know, Sue, if you can have like just index cards or something in case people want to write a comment, something like that.
Or maybe the same comment form, just print it out.
Exactly.
And then we fax it to you or email it to you
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
Is there like an easy way to like distinguish for people reading it, like what was determined by us and what's required by the state? Like, is there a way that we can make it sort of clear so people understand, like, these are kind of non-negotiables and these are the things that we have a little bit more?
Yeah, I think what we usually do is like we'll have some narrative on the web page that this is going to go on where we say like I usually post it in sections, so like here's the comprehensive plan, this is the forward-looking part of the plan, this, and then we can explain that there's local goals determined by the town and the committee, and then there's also state goals in here. And then when with the inventory chapters, we explain that these inventory chapters are, a collection of data that is required by the state. The content in here is what
Required by the state.
we have to do.
Yeah. And I believe you described that in describing what a comprehensive plan is.
Yeah.
But once again, whether someone's going to read all of that or not, and it was kind of like to my point about labeling the growth area map as this is not a zoning. As many ways as possible, since those are the common misinterpretations that I've heard of, that growth plan map is a zoning map, and it's not.
Yeah, so we'll have kind of description, the what is this plan kind of language with it online and in the email.
Okay.
And some of the tasks in the tasks section, just the headings, the state
Yeah.
required
Yeah.
economic policies, those types of things.
Is there anything else we need to think about for going to public comment, Sam, that I'm forgetting about? It's pretty easy. We'll just post it online and start sending it out. And then, since we're giving ourselves a nice long chunk of time, that takes the pressure off a little bit too.
And I guess what I'd say is the approach would be similar to what we've had before, which is Kayla and I can post a sign-up sheet for whatever time someone would, from the committee would be willing to dedicate an hour or two at the election just to hand out the flyers and provide any question and answers to anybody that has them. And that seemed to have been as effective as anything else in getting the message out.
Is there a, go ahead.
Or is that, and that's where we'll identify December 4th as public hearing, informal hearing, comment time.
We could get all of that out in just one informational sheet.
Yeah.
What the comment period is, how to
Yeah.
access the website to make a comment or to pick up a form at the town office, and then what the date of the public hearing would be. I think we could put all of that together in a flyer.
Will we do the informal public hearing as well as the formal public hearing
Great
date
question.
too?
So this public hearing is the one required by the state as part of your public comment
Right.
period.
Right.
Right.
We're calling that formal.
No, we're calling that
We're
informal.
calling that informal.
I'm not
The
sure.
first.
The
The first one.
The
The first
public
one.
comment, public hearing.
Yes,
Okay.
there will be
And then
another
there's the
public
second.
hearing next year to get it on the
Oh,
warrant.
yeah, right.
But
So,
the first one, though, this first hearing, though, does it have to be noticed? It
Yes.
does. So we
Yes.
need a date, and it has to be noticed.
Yeah.
okay. And does it make sense to plan ahead for the second public hearing, since this is really our last opportunity to be in front of the town residents, unless we go do another basketball session Saturday?
I guess with that hearing, though, wouldn't we,
We don't know when it will be.
we'd have,
We don't be.
we don't know what the
because
edits would
okay.
be from the public comment or from the state, right?
Yeah, we don't know what it'll be yet.
So those,
So it would have to, it's not as though we can put it far enough out, it has to be in
well,
between
I guess we
two
could put it
separate.
far.
scheduled anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, select board's got to do it.
Okay.
Just whisper it to Sam and
That is going to be at a select board meeting
Oh, I see. Okay.
when the warrant's ready.
Got it.
There'll be a time to go over all of the ordinances and everything like that, so,
right.
and all of the warrant articles.
Okay.
So that hasn't been determined yet. That'll be
Typically
determined probably in December.
February, March, or not that
No,
late?
that one's,
January?
that one's more like end of March, April.
Maybe
In
we
that
can
time
put a
period.
teaser on the flyer that says, and stay tuned
yeah.
for our final meeting.
That's a good idea, absolutely.
Yeah, so I know you're talking about election day. Anything else? In our original, once upon a time, we talked about doing a video for this stage of the project. Any other events, anything else we want to talk about doing? If people from the committee want to, record themselves talking about it, I think that would be more engaging than me talking about it, because no one in Raymond knows who I am. But, if there's any interest in making a video, we can put something together. But I kind of want to leave it to the committee for what you think would be most impactful at this point, whether it is flyers, signs, videos, attending other events. I want you to put your focus on whatever you think will be most valuable.
Well, is this the time period that we want the most engagement? Or is it at the warrant meeting? It might be now.
I would think so.
I'd love to lay low until December.
One
But-
in April is going to be, we're one of the many.
Right, we've talked about reserving funds for that last final push to make sure everyone's aware. Are we at that point?
I think you probably have, so this is the big one. This is the public comment period. This is really the public's last time to put edits into this document. I think a little bit of the extra budget that the committee talked about with the select board might be for some kind of public engagement or signage or something when you get closer to town meeting to encourage people to vote for it. But this is really this is like last chance to get your thoughts in.
Sure, I think during the budget discussions of the committee, we did talk about lawn signs. And we actually, I think John and I, we priced out what it would cost to do it, and we did build that in the budget. It's not 100 signs, but it would be signs just, I think what we were talking about is publicizing the vote
Yeah.
on the warrant. But just as they could, if the group thinks it would be more productive to have those signs, since we budgeted for them, go out for the comment period, or the at least the public hearing on the comment period, would that be more advantageous than getting the word out on the vote on the warrant? Or
Objectively, signs would have a lot of competition right now.
Yeah.
Might not be super effective at this stage.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we have the compilation of all of the emails and contact information that we've collected from people so far. We have pretty much a 2-month window to put word out on social media, on the website and everything. And then we have the biggest election that we're gonna see during our entire time that we're a committee here. So I feel like there's plenty of opportunity to connect with the public and people and make sure that they understand what's happening without necessarily having to go above and beyond, or, I mean, those opportunities are.
I think the flyer handout, on November voting day is going to be key, and then come on December 4th if you've got anything else to say, and bring it to us, because then that's it. That it closes.
Yes. So
And
I'm
then-
not
then
hearing
streets-
anyone volunteer to be in a video.
Correct.
Kate, I think you'd be fine in a video, and I think you undersell yourself as far as being known in Raymond. I mean, these are televised. I know at least 5 people that know who you are.
Good. All right, well, we will work on getting some materials to go on the website, social media, the flyer. I think our priority is going to be giving you all the materials to get it out in social media and at Election Day, and any other, sports games, Halloween, anything else you can. We have tons of business cards, I hear, so I think if people can be handing those out, it'll be on the website. I will email you all when it's posted on the website, so you can start promoting it. Probably don't start tomorrow because it's not going to be up for at least a week or so.
We wouldn't go as far as having draft compiled documents, hard copy documents at the November voting day to pass out.
I think
Not
that would be
gonna
a
go that
lot of
far.
printing.
Yeah.
Well, if there's a flyer, if there's something that people can take and
Point their
point their
browser
phone
at.
and,
Yeah.
Could we get a printed copy in the library too, Sue?
I don't see why not.
Okay.
And the town office?
Yeah, town office
I
and
mean,
library.
getting some print copy around would be good, because not everyone's savvy with QR codes.
right.
Yep. So we'll write on that flyer too that there's printed copies available at the town office and the library.
Well, good,
Okay. Well, sounds good.
great.
Okay.
Alrighty then, if we're through the discussion about the public comment period, I guess next on the agenda would be, John's going to give us a little overview of community partnership resiliency funding that's become available or is going to be extended, or
Yeah, and I think that it's probably less applicable to our comp plan mission than I was hoping. But this is the third or fourth round of state and federal money, and unfortunately Greg's not here to counter the grant initiatives that come down from various channels. But the web link, oh, look, you got it. Yeah, good for you. Here I am at 5 of 6, sending you
I was already here.
a link, and there it was. So the entity, this has been going for several years now. They've got federal and state money to help towns plan for the future. It is certainly a climate and energy focused initiative, and there's language in this website for an option that allows for planning and planning resources. But again, that's mostly around climate-related stuff, and I was hoping there was an ability to include stuff that would be attractive to, say, Public Works and doing, related to big storm events and culvert replacement and things like that. And there's a line in there that says specifically that's not eligible for these funds. So in that our comp plan isn't so much focused on making an energy efficient Raymond with plans for getting a lot of PV out on roofs, or say nothing about getting them out on the land. It's probably not the best fit, but it's one piece that was interesting was a map of all the towns in the state that had enrolled in the Community Resilience Partnership, and we're sitting in a zone surrounded by towns that have enrolled in this partnership, and the grant funds that come are between $5 and $75K for, again, largely energy retrofits or planning.
Can I tell them?
Yeah, you can tell us.
So, there is, as part of this program, the state offers something called a service provider grant, which is where a government organization or, say, planning consultant can apply for $10,000 from the state to help a town enroll in the partnership.
Yeah.
And we've been discussing with Sue about if we could apply for that money for Raymond.
Are you guys that
So we
entity?
would, yes. So you're looking at.
We're looking at it.
So we are planning to. We have a letter of support from Sue. We're planning to apply for this in the next round. It's not due until November. They won't announce funding until next year, but hopefully we will get $10,000, and then we can help Raymond enroll in the partnership and help you apply for your first grants through it. And I will add, John, that you can't get culvert money through this program, but Maine DOT now has a special program for things like culvert replacement where you have to be enrolled in the partnership in order to apply for it. So there is DOT money for the sort of culvert, big DOT money for big culverts kind of things available.
That's excellent.
Do we
Is
know,
there DOT money for sidewalks?
Yes, but not through this.
do we know how some of the communities around us are using the funds, or?
You can see it's on. There's like
Probably
a
the
map on the
website.
website. I don't know where. If you scroll up, Melanie.
Like if Casco or something?
Yeah.
Casco, Naples, Bridgeton, they're all in, and some of them I think are just recent.
There's the information's on the website. I'm not exactly sure where, but the other thing that I would point out is that you're eligible for more than double the money if you partner with another town. So like if Raymond and Casco wanted to do something together, then all of a sudden you can get $175,000.
Raymond gets it, or Raymond and
Raymond and Casco
together get 100
for a joint
as opposed to
project.
150 total between the two of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
So fingers crossed that we will get the funding and you'll
This is
see us again.
excellent. That's so good. So good. Glad I was reading through and I was like the sun was going down and I was thinking this isn't going to fit. So I'm so glad that you guys have already been on it. And
Thank you.
thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. I think that's it. I mean, I don't think it would be a separate committee, unrelated to CompPlan, probably to drive a bunch of energy efficiencies in the town of Raymond. But glad to know we'll have some tools and some expert help to guide us.
No guarantees, but hopefully.
Great.
Right. As far as efficiencies and energy efficiencies, I think a lot of that is coming out of ordinances, building codes, planning boards, code enforcement. So there's all those type of activities and resources to be pulled as well to try and develop some of those, whether they be energy conserving or environmental impact, weather, flooding, and all of that good stuff. Okay. And also, Sean's going to talk a little bit about a presentation he made at the Budget Finance Committee involving traffic.
Yeah.
Good.
So last Budget Finance meeting, I brought this committee's comments on the traffic safety issues, in which we opened up for public comment as well. Thanks, Jackie, for the information. Through that, I was able to have some direction on what to discuss. From the direction, the conversation really took off. The committee really wants to collect data, though, before anything is official. My understanding is that we have a radar speed sign, but it doesn't work, and it's not that it doesn't work, it only can do one speed. I forget what that speed is set at.
55, I believe.
Yes, and that's not what we want on
Can
these
we trade
roads.
that in for another model?
Right. However, though, our public works director, Nathan White, says that he can borrow a sign that should help us be able to collect some data. So big thank you to Nathan. So that's kind of where the stages we are, beginning stages, but we have a little bit of direction. But Budget Finance Committee does want to collect data before we start to dive kind of further deeper into how, if we were to spend money, how that money would look and how we would budget for that. So especially thank you to your insider information there. Just your knowledge helped me bring some direction to that committee as far as this is kind of what the vision is. So thank you for that. That's all I got.
That's great.
Okay, so I did happen to watch that meeting. I was unable to attend it. And I think it was an excellent discussion. A couple of things that struck me was, number one, now the reason we actually, I think, was DOT gave us one, and the county has one that they can let us borrow. But I guess what I don't want to see is the goal, and it's a priority goal that's in this plan, that's looking at traffic calming in general. So a number of different ways. The feedback, the radar speed feedback signs, as we had in this discussion, are effective. The research I've done is it's effective to a point. I mean, a lot of the data is saying as soon as you remove it, the speeds go back up. There's other data that's suggesting that, yeah, there is an average of 5 to 10 miles reduction in speed, but that they need to be strategically placed, which means usually you're going to put them in a place like, let's say, the Village, where it's going from 302 and a speed of 45 or 50 miles an hour down to 25 or 30, that you would strategically place it there. Just placing them randomly, the data I saw was it's not all that effective. When the discussion also said that the one that we have, I believe that came from Maine DOT, I think so, that there's a computer part that doesn't allow it to adjust the speed. And I got the sense, although it wasn't discussed in any detail, that computer part is broken, and they have not been able to locate a replacement part for it. But we actually have one here. Had I been at the meeting, I would ask the question, did we deploy it? Or did Maine DOT give it to us broken? Which, thanks a lot, all we're doing is paying to store it. If they can't find a part, is it because it's 100 years old? Because otherwise, why can't you find a part? So I didn't get to ask those questions. But also, in doing my research on these things, what I found is and I've seen examples of them, we're used to seeing the trailer with the solar panel and the big flashing screen. But more and more, what's happening is those are being replaced by individual portable signs that go up on a post that you can take down and put on another post. I priced the trailers. When I heard the comment that these are $15,000 for a standard one, and up to $30,000 if you want to get one that collects data, which I believe is what the goal here was, to collect data, and also provide some traffic calming, that almost $6,000 on what I saw is the trailer. Of the $15,000 price for the thing. So the signs run more like, that will collect data, run more like $4,000 or $5,000. And what's recommended as a strategy is that you can take them off their bracket and put them on another site. They are portable, so you can target places for it. I've seen them permanent. I'm sure we've all seen them. What they do is they post the speed limit, 40 miles an hour, and then below it is the display. And so, but that's just one way of traffic calming. And what's come through loud and clear to me on this committee is that's one of the number one priorities for the people in this town. It's the speed on the roads, both the primary roads and the back roads. And that there's got to be a way to calm it. We've talked about maybe, like some other communities have done, contracting with the sheriff's department for additional hours just for traffic control. That's expensive, and it seems that's kind of putting the cart before the horse, because once again, we need to get DOT involved in this. That's why the plan says that we're going to have a master plan with MDOT on traffic in general and the roads. But I mean, it's much less drastic to make the investment in getting that data and posting these strategically, these less expensive signs that collect data, than it is these big behemoths. You got to have a pickup truck to move around, and that they have a third of the cost is in the trailer. So I guess what I was just concerned about in listening to the discussion was that I hope it doesn't get lost on what this plan is trying to achieve with addressing the community's issue with speeding. It would allow us to calm the traffic, hopefully, not absolutely, because there is no one cure for it. It would also, more importantly, I think, collect data for MDOT, so that then we could say at the very least, I believe you need that, to then go to them and say, we want a traffic study. But at least it's getting the ball rolling.
Yeah.
If we don't have the data, then MDOT is going to say, how do we know there's a problem? And we're not going to do a traffic study because they're costly. But that then puts us in a position for everything from roadway changes to potentially decrease in traffic speeds, to hopefully decreasing accidents and all those other good things.
Much safer town.
Yeah. So that was my sense of the research. And quite honestly, what communities bigger than us have done is they've gone through that evolution, right? Right up to the point of what we don't want to do is have to, because we can do this without MDOT. If we want to put speed bumps on one of our roads, we can do it.
But like
It's a little extreme.
we have a fair amount of state roads that go through, like Egypt Road
We
and
do,
85.
but
and
we've
those are all
also
state
got a
roads.
number of country roads
Yeah.
where it's not. So whether you want to build an island, if you want to narrow the road, there's a number of things you can do to slow people down. What I'm saying is that those probably aren't that well received by the community or our visitors. So before we have to get to that extent, I would think that what we need to do is collect the data and to get MDOT with a master plan so that we can address these things. But I did hear that Nathan did plan on deploying, though the asking for the county to loan us the one that they have that's working and deploying that, hopefully strategically, I'm sure with some thought as to where the hot spots are. And he made an excellent point, which is always kind of lost in the whole discussion, which is it's really not even talking about the initial capital expense. It's the hours to maintain.
To run it.
It's the hours to download the data.
Yeah.
I mean, they're Bluetooth now, so you can basically, you buy the program and you download the data. You don't have to take the thing down. You just point something at it, and I don't know how the things work. But anyway, so all of that is available for less than $15,000 to $30,000 each. And so I'm saying I'm gratified to hear that we're going to attempt to do that. But I just didn't want it to get lost in the plan that is a priority for us because, and when I say us, I mean the community made it loud and clear that they want to see some action. They want to see something done.
Yeah, that conversation will continue, especially the people who have been talking to me. I know they're not gonna let it up, so.
That's great.
Yeah, I'll probably connect with Nathan if that's fair and just see, number one, if he's got it, and then see if there's a plan on where to deploy, because, Raymond's a big area, and try to get as much information as possible across the whole town, but it's a big area. Where do you put them? How long do you put them there for?
Yeah, I believe one of Nathan's comments after he was answering questions was the fact that, well, you know, a lot of these roads are where speeding occurs and everything. I believe this is what I heard him say. You know, it's not the people from away. It's the people that are commuting back and forth to work.
Through town, yeah.
It's either they're coming through
They're
town.
familiar with the roads. and they're-
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, we could see if we could make some impact on 302 or on 121 or something like that, but I'd love to see some impact on Egypt Road and Raymond Hill Road and the Cape. 85 and that
Mill
sort of
Street.
stuff as
Mill
well.
Street,
So,
yeah.
anyway, that was an excellent discussion. I hope you guys continue with it, and hopefully loud and clear that this priority is really, and that's why I was stressing getting the data collection component in there. You know, we don't have these, pie in the sky thoughts that a couple of radar speed display signs are going to solve all the problems. That's really not the primary intent, I believe. Okay. So, we did public comment. How about comprehensive plan committee comments?
I'm just waiting patiently for yours.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, one comment, a little research that I did, just to kind of inform us a little bit more in costs of things. And I think it was 2012 or 13, we got the state approval for the sidewalk project in the Raymond Village. And at that time, of course, we had to submit all of the grant requirements and everything. And at that time, 2013-14, sticks in my head, what came out was that the state said that it would cost around $180,000 for the project, and that Raymond was responsible for coming up with 20% of that. And but that it would be a year or two before it would be dig ready, shovel ready. By 2016 or 17, I believe, it was dig ready. The price had risen to $470,000. So the state had to come up with MDOT had to come up with additional funds, but Raymond's share also increased with that because it was a percentage of the total. So just that was for me just to get a sense of what does it cost to put a curb and a sidewalk in. And so in 2017 or 18, it cost close to $500,000 to do the sidewalk and the curbs in the village. So when we start talking about, where, we want to make sidewalks to interconnect, let's say, the village with the commercial area along Mill Road or whatever, we're talking about substantial dollars. And so that just has to be, that's what I was looking at, to just get a sense myself, since we talk a lot about sidewalks. Can we do that as a community without grants or state aid? My guess would be that there'd be probably a taxpayer's revolt at the amount that costs. By the same token, when we talk in terms of a few $1 million, now you're talking real money, right? When you compare that to some of the other plans in the town for spending money, a couple $1 million doesn't seem to me to be a lot in order to make reinforce the sense of community in this town and to encourage, let's say, reasonable development in the areas of growth and the like. So I thought I'd just share that with people. That was my research.
Any improvement of that scale, Peter, would almost certainly be a partnership with DOT, would it not? And we'd be cruising in a 10 to 20% contribution level.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt.
For, let's say, sidewalks or some other.
Sure.
Or I'm thinking about the bike lanes or and just, making it more pedestrian friendly. And then that's more than doubled in 3 years. That's, And
What's the cost now?
now, the last 3 years, we've seen, price increases that have made past years pale.
Well, I think these might be things that, we can try to encourage the town to take into consideration when they're reviewing site plans, development plans from, some of these cluster developments or, like that apartment development that's down near the end of Webb's Mills,
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, having some incentive for them to invest in creating a sidewalk or participating in that somehow, or having open space or recreational trails as part of developments like that. I think, maybe that should be on the mind of our code enforcement and planners and planning board as they review any sort of subdivision type plans or development plans or any commercial buildings that come in, how can we work together with these developments to help achieve some of these goals that we have for the town? Can we work together to share in that cost?
And I think in line with that, Jackie, I think the presentation that Chris Hansen made on impact fees, although, there's the pros and cons of that, but we're going to leave that up to others to decide when and if that's going to be a revenue stream that we would look at. But my contention was with new development, impact fees that would help pay for infrastructure like sidewalks and trails and the like. So, like I say, my approach with impact fees would be more with a scalpel than a meat cleaver, because I know it leaves a bad taste in people's mouths lots of times. And the fact that the argument, and I think it's well taken, Greg makes that argument, he would be making that argument if he was here tonight, is that it's, the developer just passes that cost on to the consumer. So in the long run, it just drives up the cost of housing, and so that's a concern. Obviously, the developer decided on Honey Hill, the development you're describing, they thought it was reasonable for them to get a return on their investment to not only put sidewalks up there, but to bring public water there, because it was right down on 302.
But the sidewalk doesn't even extend down to Webb's Mills.
It doesn't. Isn't that a shame?
Yeah.
It stops.
Yeah.
It stops. But the sidewalk down to 85, they've got a sidewalk. you know, and they've got it all the way around their community, and that was on the developer's dime. So, you know, impact fees, something that hopefully are going to be explored in the future. I don't believe it was received well by selectmen when Chris first, well, I think it was accepted. It was pretty well accepted when Chris first brought it to the select board. But then, for some reason, then they kind of soured on it and said, no, we don't want to do it right now. It might have been being educated to the fact that it is going to drive the cost of houses, and that's a reasonable concern. But I believe we also had the gentleman from the Lakes Association, who also mentioned, spoke to us, that also mentioned impact fees on the lakes and ways that they could have money to do their mitigations, to prevent erosion, to educate lakeshore people to what controls they can establish in their own lakeside properties. So, you know, he mentioned that as well. So, you know, there's got to be the positive and the negatives, and like I say, that's going to be up to someone other than us to decide. But that is another revenue stream other than taxes that could be considered. And I guess lastly, in just a public comment, I'd say that in looking at overall the actions of this committee with the assistance of North Star is such that once again, I just think sometimes we tend to underestimate ourselves in the expertise that is represented on this committee. And the fact that, you know, I'm encouraging that certainly, you know, I think each and every one of you could be essential and helpful with an implementation committee. I will go on record right now as saying is that I'm not doing it. That being said, I would recruit each and every one of you to be on that implementation team to see that it happens. And I'm also gratified to hear that the town manager is talking with North Star about grants. Yeah. I think that's excellent. And so some of the things, like the discussion on the road signs, it's stuff that we haven't even put out in general in this plan, and it's already the ball's already started rolling. You know, no guarantees, but the ball is rolling. And I will give a lot of the credit to that ball's rolling to this committee, because I think you've done an excellent job. And that's all I have for committee comment. Anyone else? No one? Look at that. The gift of time.
I got one quick question. I was just
Sure.
It'll be short. I was hoping our code enforcement officer could just give us a little history on where he came from and.
Well, I'm a Raymond resident.
Would you? Yeah. Just introduce yourself and where you live.
Jason Williamson, 154 Valley Road. Built my house 3 years ago. I moved to Maine 20 years ago. Lived in Casca for a while. I was a builder, carpenter, and I decided to make I guess you could call it midlife crisis change, but there was no midlife crisis. I just wanted to save my body, and when the job opened up in Raymond, I thought it a great opportunity. I knew Chris, and it's been I've been on the job for 3 months, and it's been enjoyable, not without its challenges, and I've learned a lot along the way. But I'm excited to be here, and I know I haven't been around to work with you guys, so I reserve any comments or opinions because I'd like to let it all soak in before I say anything. But I plan on obviously working with everything that's going on here, and looking forward to it.
That's excellent. Appreciate it. Yeah, we look forward to it as well.
Can I ask you, I thought
Sure.
I heard Chris said, I think he was talking at the Budget Finance Committee meeting, but anyway, he was talking about the plan is that within the next 6 months of the year, you're going to kind of swap roles. Is that the plan?
Yeah, once I have all the certifications and I'm up to speed, that's the plan, and so Chris can kind of sunset and take
Yeah,
it.
he can try and retire.
He can try and retire. Talks about.
That'll be 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And could I ask you, it sounds like most of your experience is in building.
Yeah.
So as far as code enforcement is concerned, this is your first experience in code
Yep.
enforcement office?
First go around, yep.
Yeah, and you got a good mentor.
I like to think so.
Yeah.
I couldn't. I've worked with a few code enforcement officers, and most of them have always been reasonable, and I've liked working with them. I've never had a problem with code enforcement, but Chris, I've worked with him a few times, and yeah, we hit it off, and I think hoping he's putting me on a good footing. I like to feel like he is, so.
Absolutely. Well, I can appreciate the role of code enforcement officer. I was on zoning board of appeals for 25 years, so I kind of have a sense of just a little bit of what a code enforcement officer
Yeah, it's a lot more complex. You
Yeah.
know, you're a psychologist, you're a consultant, you name it, we pretty much have to do it. A referee, yes.
Absolutely.
A police officer happens sometimes. It's,
Well, we wish you the best of luck.
well, thank you.
Great to have you on board.
Thanks.
If there's no other comment, I'd look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
There's a motion, second?
Second.
There's a second, all in favor? We are adjourned.